the way people view marriage before they get married, it's always very theoretical. You have an idea, and sometimes you actually have a whole picture.
So no one told me that there will be times where you have to put in more effort. I need to do 80% of the work because he's low or he needs to do more. And I'm like, yo, dude, okay, I'm parking now.
Because I'm so spontaneous and I'm like,
The spontaneous ends. It ends when there's little people
When you
involved
decide
because
to have these little
Yes.
ones. Yeah.
you don't have to involve the kids in everything.
The motherland, the African man. Long as I'm alive, I'ma make a plan. Strongholds to break, got long walks to take, got no votes to make, we don't bet, we pray. Hey, African man, yeah. The African male iris, through the eye of an African male.
The point that you've raised, the point you've raised about, okay, black tax, his black tax is his black tax.
It is.
So when you guys do for example, my wife and I do
budget.
a budget every month.
Yes.
And on our budget, we actually
Put
set
black tax.
aside.
have we started?
We can just
Yes.
keep going.
Yeah,
Oh,
we just
okay.
then we'll-
Okay.
we set aside to say this money is going to your side of the family. This is going to my side of the family. Right. So you don't have that.
So
that
I
is
don't
not-
have that because of, like I'm saying, I am fortunate that my parents don't need that. But my parents have the same setup that you have.
Okay.
So they had that where, okay, this month, this is going to my mom's side. This is going to the dad's side. Yeah, like his side. So with me, if anything, I'm still the one going to ask for money from my parents.
Of course.
So,
yeah,
yeah,
you
so-
are so blessed.
You see,
Shem.
so yes, I'm
Right,
very
yeah.
lucky with that in that point. So also with him, I think his parents are also quite fortunate in a sense
Yeah.
that all the siblings, they all help out whenever.
Yeah, so it balances
So
out.
it balances out. I don't feel it.
You know, and
it's
that's
not heavy.
that's the aim for us current parents. We don't want to put our children
Yes.
In
in
that,
that
situation.
situation.
Yeah.
You
But
know?
I think it's the modern parents. You know, our parents from they still have that mental.
Yeah.
They still have that mentality that I took you to school. Now you need.
You
So
need to take care
that's
of
the
me.
reason why I saw a status saying that education is not a debt. So I don't have to pay you back because you raised me.
Yeah, yeah,
understand?
you made the decision to
And
have
there's
me.
some people that are going through, and it's so sad because you know, you ask yourself until when. There's no, unfortunately, in some of the household, there's no wire. You have to take care of us whether you get married or not. So with
Ish,
me,
that's rough.
after buying a sat that's when I set them down. I set my mom and said, listen, now I have this, you know, expense that I didn't have. So now, and I've done, you know, so much, and that I feel. But thing is, what is so much to you wouldn't be so much to somebody else. So hence I said that black tax is all about affording. So there's no way that you can take all your salary, 80% of your salary, and give it to your family. And I know that it's just a black tax is such a sensitive topic because a lot of people have committed suicide because of that. Some people that are even going through depression because of that. Some don't even have that relationship because of they chose themselves to say, you know what, I've done so much. And it's always that person, you know, when it's always that the breadwinner is always that person doesn't have kids because they feel like, but I can't afford to bring another person, you know, here, and then meanwhile I have other people that I'm taking care of. But those people that you are worried about, they are busy procreating, you know. So that's the whole truth. Like you find that you don't even have a kid, but then you know your brothers and all that. I'm lucky that my sisters, they are, you know, they are
Independent.
yes, they're independent. They're so good. And I said, but we help each other where we can. You know, can you please borrow me this? Can you do this? Can you do this? So we don't have that thing of saying, oh, yeah, please, it's you, wire.
Yeah.
Right. But even though I had an issue where they used to think that I have money, you understand? You know, because I don't have kids. And as the last born, you are expecting that you should be spoiled, you know. But it's not the case in most of the time. So
Right, ladies and gentlemen, as you can see, we are just
Yeah.
We just started shooting because we've just got so much to talk about.
Yes.
But we are back now, and we're not going to waste time, and we still have our gorgeous, beautiful guests.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
She's
Thanks
so
again.
nice.
Thanks again.
I'm very shy. I talk a lot, but I am shy.
Yes. So we have our beautiful guests, one who's shy and one who's not. And
Only if you knew
right.
the opposite.
And what we're going to get into now is we're going to talk about like married life
Yeah.
from all perspectives. And so before we went on the break, we were just sort of having a chat around the way people view marriage before they get married is always it's always very theoretical. You have an idea, and sometimes you actually have a whole picture, and you think that your husband should just know this picture, but you haven't really had a conversation. And it's only when you're inside the thing, phakathi, then you start to realize,
inside.
yo,
Hey,
okay, we are phakathi inside.
within.
Yeah, within. And then you start to learn what it meant when people said communication is important. Because you think, like I remember before I got married, that people would say communication is important. In my head, I was like, so it means that I have to be a good communicator and she has to be a good communicator. And if we can just communicate, then we should be fine. Then I was like, I'm sure that's going to be fine.
Yeah.
Until I realized, it's a completely different meaning,
Yeah.
And over the years, then you start realizing, okay, it's actually much deeper than I thought it was. So my question is mainly to Noma. What are the conversations that you feel like someone should have had with you so that you could understand some of the things that you had to learn for yourself when you were in marriage? Because those are probably the things that Weenie might never know until she's actually in marriage, or you are completely just giving her the full picture. Because sometimes as married people, like I remember someone saying, if marriage was a company and it had a PR department, there'd be no one there because marriage has bad PR. Like the PR is just terrible. Like everyone just feels like, I don't know if marriage is a good idea, because divorce rates are high. Every time you're in a conversation with people, someone separated from their wife. And so there's just horror stories.
Yeah.
So it's like the
Or
PR is bad.
every time I see you, that's the point I want to vent.
Yeah.
Yes. Like, do you know what?
And
Tino and I were talking about this in the car when we were coming. And I was saying, Tino, do you know the number of guys? Like, it's because it's one thing for me to open up and say, I separated from my wife.
Yeah.
It's another thing for a guy who's actually still with his wife,
Yeah.
but deep down he's just so unhappy.
Yeah.
And he's still there with us and we're all just hanging out and just talking,
Yeah.
but he's like really, and maybe the wife is already feeling the same way. Like, I'm just
Yeah.
like, guys, all this unhappiness got this anxiety.
Hey.
You know what I mean?
What are we doing?
Yeah.
Actually, even the single people, you're like, I know that one particular friend, when you ask them like, yo, how are you? Yo.
There we go.
And
Exactly.
you start
There we
ignoring
go.
them because you know it's gonna be depressing.
You see what I
stories all the
mean?
time.
Yeah.
Like I saw a status saying, like, can one person have bad days all the time? Like, can you just have like a moment where you're just telling me that I am
Things are good.
with a smile and you mean it? Like,
Yeah.
I bona. That's
Yeah, no.
marriage for you.
So I mean, Noma, maybe you can start us off with the things that you learned in marriage
That you feel
that
like-
you feel like no one actually like prepared you and you just had to, or some things where you kind of knew but then had more clarity. Those things.
Okay, so I'll start. Before we get married, especially in the Black culture, women were always sat down. Even single people know what is discussed there.
Yes.
They'll be just telling us about how to take care of the man and this
Yes.
and this and that. So for me, I think the biggest thing is the men are not told how to take care of us.
Yes.
And we have this thing of, in you providing money, right? Is
You've
you
done my
taking
part.
care of
Care
me.
of your
I've done my
family.
part.
Yeah.
Whether it's you're paying for the bonds or you're paying for the cars and installments or whatever you're doing, right? You've done your part. So I think one thing that I never really realized is that we would grow apart in the marriage. So and days won't be the same always. Like it's not always. I don't want to call it honeymoon phase, but you know, there's days where it's just meloman, kumnand. It's nice.
Yeah.
It's not that you are head over heels in love, and it's not like you are.
But you're okay.
Yeah, like you're just cruising.
Yeah.
Right.
So no one told me that there will be times where you have to put in more effort. And sometimes
Intentional, yeah.
Yes, I need to do 80% of the work because he's low or he needs to do more. And I'm like, yo, dude, okay, I'm parking now. Like, you are just going to have to carry the both of us. So it's stuff like that.
That's actually a very important point.
Very
Yeah.
extremely,
So I
extremely.
actually learned this from a very good sister of mine, Nina. Shout out to you, and her husband. So they kind of like also talk to us quite a bit about this. So that's where I literally learned that sometimes you draw a line. It's like, okay, this is the line. You doing this part, you doing this part. But sometimes you are gonna have to do your part, cross that line, and come and do my part.
Yeah.
In order for this marriage to continue.
Right. Sorry,
Yeah.
I know you've got more. Tino, is that the same with you? Like,
Yeah, like
can you relate to what she's saying? Like
I can
about
relate very much.
about the ups and downs within the vibe, like the vibes of the relationship, where you can tell that we're not,
On fire.
on fire.
Yeah, we're not on fire.
The
you know?
spark is not.
And I have to light the
Oh,
fire.
yeah, ignited.
Yeah. So what has been your
spark is
kind of experience
gone.
with that?
I think we've intentionally continued to date each other.
Yes.
Right.
I think we are very intentional, my wife and I. I
Yeah.
think that's why we've had a very,
Tino
Easy.
scoring points. This
You say you've been married for how long?
I think it's 13 years.
Okay.
We got married in
Yeah.
2012. That's white wedding in 2012.
yeah, it's 13.
13 years
13,
this
yeah.
year.
Yeah.
Hey,
in April,
nice,
April
man.
7. Yeah.
Right.
I was
So
in
intentional
varsity.
Houston
dating.
Basti
So maybe just go deeper so that Winnie's soulmate can take
can
notes.
take notes
Yeah.
right now.
Aligned.
Yeah, I think we actually it's good to schedule these things. So at least in a month, one weekend is for my wife and I. We have a date night, right? The other weekend is for family. We go out with our children. We have an activity with our kids. And the one we're trying to implement or be better at, like today, my wife is out with her friends. They went for it's a nice place called Rosemary Hill in Pretoria. So they,
Oh, yeah, I know.
they went the
it. I know
Segway thing.
it.
They're doing the Segway
Yeah.
and wine tasting, and so we're trying to do that a lot more to say let's hang out with our friends.
Yes.
Let's not always just be
In the-
relying on each other too
Family,
much. Let's have that outlet.
Ah,
of
boys
friends.
night loading.
Yeah, so it's loading. It's loading.
with married friends.
Yeah.
Oh
so,
my gosh.
And singles.
And
There's some
singles.
singles that.
So
yeah.
you see also another thing back to that point of where when they're telling you that you can't be friends with singles anymore.
Yeah.
This for me has always been a problem from even when I was younger. I remember once my dad also said to me, I had a friend who was younger than me. Then my dad would be on some, why are you even friends with someone who's younger than you? What are you learning from them? She was like too great. And I loved her so much. Like we were just good friends from church. And I said, but I don't know who I referred to at that time. I was like, but Winnie's older than me. And you don't have a problem with that relationship. So, sometimes you look at something one-sided. It's okay that I have older friends,
But
But
but I can't have younger friends.
yeah.
I'm also going to teach her whatever I'm
Exactly.
probably learning
Exactly.
from. So you see, when you have the single friends, like you were talking about the advice as well, is that I could probably advise Winnie, but she knows, I always tell her that it's not one size fit all. It's always about the two individuals.
Yes.
That's why you can get married and then get divorced and get married again and be on some, what the hell was I doing in my first marriage?
Yeah. Because now
And
you
number
know
two
better.
is just cruising. So it's all about the two individuals involved and being intentional about that.
Yeah.
So also the scheduling. She's always laughing at me when I say I have to schedule.
It's important.
like, and she goes,
special time.
Because I'm so spontaneous and I'm like,
The spontaneous ends. It ends when there's little people
When you
involved
decide
because
to have these little
Yes.
ones. Yeah.
Yeah,
because
when
my
there's little
daughter
people
can just
involved.
come, and when she comes, like maybe I'm in bed and I'm thinking, oh, finally cuddles from my man. As I'm moving, woo, the girl will just come and can put herself in between.
yeah, in between there.
Yo.
And then and then she'll cuddle and then she'll hold him and say, my daddy.
Yeah.
Oh my
At
That's
that
it.
time, I'm like, you know what?
Whatever.
I'm sleeping. And obviously, I'm also human, so I've got emotions. So I'm just switching off. And then he's also on some, don't sleep.
I'm done.
You can stay with me.
Be a dad.
You
can
and your
say-
children.
Exactly. So it's things like that. So a lot changes. It's not like, just coming home to. So you a lot of planning. I
Yeah,
didn't know I'd have to
proper.
plan. It's
Yeah.
like
Right.
a project at work. I work with projects. My life is actually a project.
Right.
I have to plan everything. I always have
Check
to.
the availability.
You see, like
and
even for us, we were supposed to come here earlier, right?
I hope
Yeah.
I hope you're taking notes.
I am taking.
Yes. So planning is definitely very crucial, and also sticking to it.
Yeah.
Right.
And another thing that I also learned from my married cousin is that she always says, you don't have to involve the kids in everything. Because first of all, they're going to grow up and they're going to leave, and you guys are going to be together.
And usually it's the women that struggle with that.
Yeah.
Because
Yes.
you would have,
Attachment.
there are certain places we'll go and already my wife will be like, I wish the kids could have seen this.
You see?
So
Yes.
already that puts me in a situation where
And with guys,
You'd rather be with the kids.
I know that. And with guys, I can almost hear every guy going,
I'm like, oh.
Can we just
why? We are here.
Yes,
It's fine.
that's what. Yes,
So,
exactly.
so women naturally.
Yeah.
they-
So that's also the part of you need to plan, you need to be intentional. And also when the kids are now out of the house, whether they go boarding school, let me say boarding school because now they are not there partially. Then now you're now with this man that you've married that you
Yeah.
barely even know. And it's like maybe one day I'm trying to be spontaneous now that I
Yeah.
have the opportunity.
Yeah.
And then he's like, I actually don't like that anymore. And it's like, when did that change? But had we been on more dates, spent more time, chances I could have picked it up. Or
Yeah.
he would have said, I'm actually not a fan of this anymore. I started liking this. And then that's where you're relearning. Because as people, we evolve.
Yeah.
Right.
So I think the hardest part is evolving together.
Right.
That's the yes.
The motherland, the African man. Long as I'm alive, I'ma make a plan. Strongholds to break, got long walks to take, got no votes to make, but don't bet, we pray. Hey, African man, yeah. The African male, Irish.